I was born in the highlands in Peru, in a place called Andahuaylas. It's a rural community, semi-urban, rural, but it's a lot of kind of uh, a lot of traditions over there, like dances, music, different kind of festivities that we have all year round. And I grew up in that kind of village where there is a lot of tradition, a lot of different native practices for different purposes throughout the year. It's mainly agricultural land, and we have farming there, and that's our kind of main activities there. So I grew up and I studied there, and after I completed my secondary education, I went to the capital, to Lima. I did study art in the National University San Marcos. San Marcos, one of the oldest universities in the Americas, from the Western point of view, obviously. And, and it's quite kind of prestigious, quite historical, and I studied humanities there, art, and after completing, I was kind of teacher for for people who are training to become teachers also. And I did teach things to do with art, let's say dance, puppetry, mime, and various other things related to the arts, to creative making activities also, like building different kind of items that could be used as an educational resource for teaching different subjects. So that's a little bit my background, basically. So since I grew up, since I was born, up to finishing my university. Afterwards, I was invited because I was practicing. I had an adaptation of one play. It's about a story. The writer from my hometown, José María Arguedas. I adapted one of his stories. It's called The Agony of Rasuniti. And Rasuniti is in that story is a scissor dancer. Scissor dancer is kind of, again, is a lot of things, with history and with symbolism and so on. It's a scissor dance is a traditional dance, but at some point was kind of banned in Peru during colonial period, because it not only is dance, but it represents something else. It represents ancient practices for spirituality, which kind of obviously challenged the new religion that were kind of being forced into people there, Christianity. The beliefs are very simple. Basically, you believe that nature is not, you are not above nature as a human person, but you are kind of the same level. Whatever you do to nature will affect you also personally. And now we are learning the hard way here after many centuries. In some ways, it's kind of very simple. There's no books, it's not even acknowledged as a religion, but it's a spiritual practice. We believe in the mountains, in the lakes, in different kind of stones that are there for a sacred space. And in general, we kind of value also and connect with the different animals. Some of them are totemic animals also. So scissor dance kind of picks up on all of these elements. Jose Maria Arguedas wrote about a legendary dancer, Rasuniti, who is in agony, the process where he kind of passes away. But actually, he doesn't pass away. When he passes away, he survives in his disciple. So that's the whole idea, is that tradition and culture doesn't die with the person, but that's someone will inherit that and is carried on by somebody else. So that person who kind of taught someone else this practice lives in the next generation. So that's the whole idea of the play. With that play, I was invited to London first time in 1999. And it was a monologue that I did with a director in Peru. I came, I did presentations in various places, but mainly because it was in Spanish at the Cervantes Institute. In Cervantes Institute is the cultural center of Spain, and they teach Spanish, and obviously it was very important, this writer, for them and in general for Latin American literature. And also I managed to do at the time educational material for the King's College University for Latin American studies. So it was a whole package, and also I had to teach and talk about Quechua language, which I'm also one of the speakers of Quechua language. Basically, I'm from a Quechua community myself. So that's kind of my cultural background, academic background, and my artistic kind of background also. Dance, music, mime, and lately puppetry.
Right. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So when you came back to the UK after that, and did you continue to practice your arts here before you started working with border crossings?
Yes, I mean, I came twice to the UK invited. One was for about 2 months, and the second time was for longer period of time, which also included the scissor dance, but not as a theatrical play, but as mostly as a dance and a ritual. And I used to do that in various places, including the Fringe Festival in Scotland. And after that, I stayed. At the time, I didn't even speak English because I have somebody who could translate for me wherever I went. You know, the person came with me. But afterwards, I stayed, and I started learning the language, obviously. And I had at that time interest in following a little bit more academically, you know, with other studies. I did an MA in theater practice here in London, and the strand that I followed was puppetry. I graduated in 2004, between 2004 2005, and after that I started going to various festivals abroad. At the time, mainly went to puppet festivals, theater and puppet festivals. And so after that, I focused a little bit more in puppetry rather than the dance or the music, because for some reason I think there's more festivals for puppetry, and it's much there's more possibilities, I think. And anyway, puppet theater doesn't exclude any other art. I mean, I have a lot of my projects includes my own music. I play music while I'm using puppets, or I do the scissor dance. Also, I have the same character or the same tradition in puppetry form. So I kind of mix mime with puppetry, music with puppetry, anything with puppets. So in the end, I try to kind of mix. That way I can keep my practice ongoing. You know, in fact, the chance for me to go to a dance festival here is kind of quite slim, or in general dance festivals abroad also. If I were in Peru, possibly it could be much easier, because in Peru I could have another person, like another dancer, to come with me. I could have my musicians and so on. So it would be much easier to have an ensemble, which is the right way to do it in the tradition. But over here, I need to kind of adapt. Obviously, in theater, you can kind of use even pre-recorded music, and you can kind of have it as soundtrack, you know, something, and then that follow that music for your performance. But generally speaking, I try to keep alive my music, my dance, and all other arts that I also practice.
Okay. So you came to Border Crossings and had conversations with the team there.
Yes.
And you began to develop some project ideas together. Could you tell me a little bit about how that started and what kind of projects you did?
That's right. So one of my visits to Peru, I mean, when I was just living here, I went back and I had a chance to meet a master, a shaman, and we have a healing plant. It's called ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is drunk, so you have visions afterwards. A lot of people, maybe 90% goes to the Amazon, goes because they want to try ayahuasca. Huachuma, which we call San Pedro, and now lately they try frog medicine also. After trying ayahuasca myself, not because I went to, it came about because the shaman offered it to me. And then when I had this ceremony, and after I completed, I thought myself, oh, I wish I could make this into a puppet show, into a theatrical show. So it kind of, that idea was there. So it took me a few years to develop the display, which is actually like peep show. It's just for one person. It's 5 minutes per person. And it's quite immersive performance because you have your earphones and you can hear the music just yourself, and you can see through the eyes of a mask that is in front of you. You can see the show. I'm in a little tent inside doing the show. When I met with Michael and Lucy for Border Crossings, they asked me what kind of place did I have at the time. I mentioned the scissor dance, I mentioned ayahuasca, and I mentioned Children of the Sun, which is a play about ancestral gods from various cultures in Peru. We have the Mochicas, Chavin, Paracas, Incas, and many others, obviously. And it's a very abstract play, but it's about different iconography that you can find textile, in goldsmith, maybe in architecture, and so on. So I have these different plays. So in our conversation with Border Crossings, they kind of listened to what I had to offer, and I let them to make the decisions. Initially, we started with the idea of promoting ayahuasca for one of the festivals, and and we did that quite successfully. As I say, I could only have limited number of people that could actually see the play, but it was interesting because it was based on this tradition from the Amazon rainforest, which nowadays even is like national heritage. By the government is given this kind of protection of title or recognition, and I think it's one of the, I don't know if there is another play about ayahuasca, but definitely there is one and I have, and that was shown first time at Border Crossings. It was interesting because that play could go in any space. It could be done in a room like this, it could go any other space, but we tried various kind of spaces, and including the theater itself. The various formats they work, and that was, I think, quite successful participation from my side, and that led to another kind of future collaborations. After that, they were with Border Crossing very interesting because they also have an input. They don't just accept your play, but they might give you suggestions what you can do. Maybe you need to adapt things for the concept they are promoting, and in that sense, Michael is a theater director. He have an insight and can give you kind of a little bit guidance also. And if you are open, obviously you can also kind of reaccommodate things. And one of the different projects we tried after in another edition was the Man of the Andes. Because I'm from the Andes, I'm a Quechua person, and I've been, for some reason, I grew up with different traditions, and I know I'm practitioner many things that over there are practiced until now. You know, they are ancestral, some of them they come, it's a kind of practice from generations and generations. I'm one of the person who kind of knows a little bit of this and that, that's different aspects of my culture. And we decided to develop this project, this Man of the Andes. I use music, I use puppetry, I use dance, and I use a little bit of Quechua language. And it was a little bit of everything about the Andes and the Quechua world. And again, that was interesting exploration for me because I need to kind of think how I can put quite a lot of stuff in short period of time, like maybe for 40 minutes performance. Try to show the different art forms that exist there, but the things I know also. So it was a very difficult task, but again, I think it's a good concept, how you can kind of, I don't know, just make it comprise, you know, all your heritage, all your practice. It's quite difficult, but it's good exercise also, theatrically speaking, and it helped me quite a lot to develop some ideas in different ways, and that's thanks to border crossing, obviously. And then we did things for outdoor performance also with the scissor dance that included the ritual aspects. In the dance, we have what we call pruebas. Basically, it's something that you offer to the Mother Earth, to the Pachamama, and to the Apus. Apus are like sacred entities, as I said, could be in the forms of mountains, lakes, generally speaking, the whole universe, you know, the whole, whatever nature surrounds you. And I did this offering, which includes things like piercing your flesh, or things that I think in other cultures they do like they call fakirs. Different practices. You work with sharp objects, with cables, but we do that in a ritualistic and ceremonial context as an offering. But obviously for the audience here, it's a little bit hard to see. I don't do commonly this as a performance, but sometimes I can include also. And that is also another interesting aspect because it reflected the true kind of nature of the dance and what other aspects are part of the dance also. And I think that's important for me because I can somehow convey to the audience about this dance. And obviously some people are curious, you know, they say, well, you do that, how can you harm yourself? Is it not painful? And so on, you know, but, and that way I can see that they judge or they perceive under another kind of understanding. Obviously the references for them they are different for the audience. So it's good to have a dialogue because of this with the audience, and kind of clarify, the cultural context and the spiritual background that these practices have. I think venues or other festivals that can approve this kind of place are quite few here. They'll be wary that you might kind of challenge the audience, with something that they might not like to see, or it will be difficult for them to kind of digest. So I think that's interesting. So for me, border crossing becomes this platform to kind of show this aspect also. And yeah, I'm grateful for that opportunity, obviously.
Maybe tell us a little bit more about how some of those dialogues happen. You say that you're presenting practices and to an audience that perhaps doesn't understand them. So how do you frame these practices for the audience, and do you discuss it with them afterwards?
Usually, any dialogue happens afterwards, because before that, also myself, I need to focus a little bit on. It's like going on trance. So before that, I just prepare mentally, physically, and everything. So just I can do everything. But when they see, some of them they might find a little bit distressing. It's difficult, I know, for many people, and some of them they are not so comfortable watching, because they'll be worried maybe you're hurting yourself, or how dangerous that might be, and so on. Or they didn't expect that, because no one is told that that is going to happen. So it's kind of surprise also. But afterwards, when there is chance, we open up the conversation with the audience, so they can ask any question. That's when they kind of try to understand why I do these things. What's the purpose? And because for them, I don't think it's necessary to. It looks like stance only, but that's not the purpose. And it's good that they can have, during the conversation, and the understanding of what really is happening, why is done certain things, and that leads to, for them to at least change their minds and accept that somehow we are different, because that's something that happened in Peru, and even in Peru, not in everywhere in Peru, but it's in specific places in the highlands. And people in the capital, they are not worried about this, and they also will be shocked, to see all of these things. And because of that, at some point, our dance was persecuted, banned, and they thought we would have like kind of some sort of understanding with the devil, or with the dark forces, something like that. So we had very bad stigma on us during many centuries. And lately has been, actually, this dance is part of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO. And so it takes time for people to kind of understand and finally admit things. And now there's kind of revival of this dance in Peru, and there are many forms. Some of them even become mainstream, because a lot of the moves are kind of like a break dance, and they actually do challenge break dancers with scissor dances, on the stage, and it's quite interesting the way it's kind of evolving. There are a lot of movies that they use the dance. A lot of singers in Peru nowadays, they try to use the dance or elements of the costume for them to do maybe a video about their own songs and so on. So it's becoming kind of popular. There were even documentaries about this, like series, like soap opera and so where there's characters or dancers. So the perception in Peru is changing, but still the cultural practices is what distinguishes a little bit our dance from other many dances. In Peru is possibly the capital of the traditional dances. One region is called Puno. There are, I don't know how many dances there. You can stay over 2 days and watch non-stop different dances that come from different villages there. And we're talking just one region. So it's quite a lot. But our dance is kind of also became popular because the way people dance is quite attractive, quite physically demanding, and also these other aspects, the ritual. So somehow we are, I think, being recognized, for what we're doing. And actually now I'm in the process of preparing the monologue. First time I came to UK, but this time I'm doing a puppet version. So I have all the characters, everything. I just need to finalize a few things with some puppets because it takes a lot of time to make and to prepare properly for the use on stage. So somehow that will be for me like a circle. And embracing things that I kind of learn also over here and in my travels to various places in the world, different festivals. So that's the good thing about the art, the exchange with other cultures, that you somehow kind of embrace new elements of change to your own practice, to your own performance. And that's also maybe interesting for border crossing because about cultural identity, about heritage, something that they is kind of their main aim, their goal for them to promote this kind of theater or practices. And I'm glad that now we have kind of partnership and we can work together in many projects. Well, after we did the Man of the Andes and the Scissor Dance, I also embarked on another play. It's called Amazonian Visions. It's about the rainforest. And again, it's with puppets, a little bit of music and song. And with that, I managed to go to various schools in not only in London but outside London, Manchester, border crossing arrangement, all of this collaboration with has to be visits to different schools and making performances there. Maybe work for assembly or sometimes do a small show for one group and then try to have a dialogue with the students and get them involved also with maybe operating a puppet, whatever they were interested in. I mean, basically it's to inspire them, make them interested in something, and which is interesting is all of these projects have been quite successful within education, within schools, because even nursery children, primary and second, they're always interested about various aspects of either the puppetry, either the topic, the culture, and so on, so forth, because a lot of that is quite new for them. Sometimes maybe some of them they are looking for first-time puppetry, and so on. So there are various elements that are kind of interesting for the students. Also the fact that puppets sometimes by themselves are very engaging. I think people are very fond of this art form. Sometimes the movement, sometimes the story that gets them their attention, and that's, I think, quite medium for kind of working out messages that you want to kind of promote and open up a discussion, make them aware of something, make them feel in a certain way, and so on. So I think this is quite interesting. And again, working with schools, myself as a solo artist, because I'm kind of most of the time solo practitioner. Sometimes I'm with other people also, but I could not be able to go to schools easily if it's not through agency or maybe to border crossing. And obviously I go to festivals, but not to schools here, because the way is kind of the safeguarding issues that exist in school, and the way the system basically works. And for me, it's a little bit impossibility to go on my own. So I really, when I go to schools, for me it's a good place where you can engage with a lot of people, and having a purpose also, maybe make them aware of something, some sort of message that you want to pass, in that play. And there's a good opportunity to approach students that they're very keen to kind of maybe learn more about something. And because some of the courses also is about the Amazon, or it could be geography, it could be biology about the animals and so on. So it's quite useful anyway. So I wish I could go more often to school, but as I say, it depends if there's a project or no. Right. We are bound to those possibilities. And the last project we did was last year, Mouth of the Gods. That's quite a big project, because my call as a director had to include dancers, musicians, singers. I was in charge of the puppet making, so I have to make puppets, but include volunteers also. It wasn't just me making, but it has to be a community work. So we invite people who knew about puppetry or who didn't know about puppetry, but they have to end up making, and ideally operating the puppet also for the show. Mouth of the Gods is a Baroque Andean opera, and we have a group also doing embroidery, a mantle, and we did a character, Kia. Kia is like the moon, it's a female character in the play, and represents a kind of the people from Paracas, that the mantle was Paracas style, one of the ancient cultures in Peru. So it had to do all these elements, but it was interesting to work in that project, because it was a longer engagement. It started, we worked maybe for about a year to make the puppets, and near the play, we have to train a little bit with people who were selected to operate the puppets. We were 4 people for that. So it was quite intense, quite a challenge, because other plays I have is about me, it's my puppets. If nobody likes them, it's okay. I'm happy with that. I can live with that. But in this case, it had to be approved by the director, by the artistic director and the director, and the other people who are kind of overseeing the project. So they have to have a say, and then I have to accommodate to that also. So which is slightly different concept. And also working with people who were new to the art, and basically try to establish some sort of basic program for them, so they can kind of operate the puppet. But it was possibly the best project I have ever been part of, because it's quite exciting idea. There are various elements. There are professional and non-professional musicians, dancers, and everyone worked very hard for about a year, and there was big commitment from everybody, all the volunteers and so on. And I think, for what I felt the audience response and so on, we achieved quite a lot, and everyone was proud of this project. And I was just lucky, I guess, to get involved in this one, and all thanks to Michael, his vision, his ideas, and his determination to make it happen. We had somebody who came from Peru, a singer, who was the main role in the play, and yeah, it was for me also was as a theater practice was very interesting, because it reminded me when I came here to UK first time, I had someone translating for me, and the same this actress, a singer, was there, and people translating what's happening, having discussion in bilingual, sometimes even in Quechua and a little bit of Aymara, which was extra for us, and then we need to translate into Spanish and the Spanish into English. All of this process was very exciting. It's a fantastic project. Pity was very short, and also pity we might not do it again. So that's quite sad. But anyway, it was like one-off, and yeah, it's just great memory to have great memory about that.
Yeah. Wow, you've been involved in some really interesting projects, so many different art forms and so many different themes too. Are there projects moving forward that you are thinking about or that you're preparing right now?
Well, they are basically personal projects for now. I don't know if border crossing will get to embrace them or not, but regardless, I have always my own personal projects, and sometimes maybe aspects of that play can be included in the next border crossing project. Hopefully, it might happen. But if not, I'm developing, as I said, The Agony of Rasuniti. It's a play of José María Arguedas. It's not a dramatic play, but it's just a story which I'm adapting for puppet theater. And there are various characters there. And again, usually I work alone, and I remember I'm breaking my head how I'm going to operate all those puppets myself, if it happens to be. But I'm thinking also alternatively working with someone else, and maybe at some point here making the premiere and have the play that we can, maybe we can have one person for every character. So for me also will be that interesting, because I can include more people. It's just in my case, maybe because I don't have any funding. Obviously myself I can train in alternative space, even in the park or wherever, but including other people might be more difficult. The logistic will be a little bit different challenge, more than the artistic. But I'm thinking ahead that I would want to include more people, at least when the play is here, but possibly the play afterwards will go to Peru, and that's where I'll be touring. And another idea that occurred to me, that's like maybe I invite some of the students, and they need to know the story in advance. So some of them, they can, even if they don't know how to use puppet, I can kind of show briefly something, and then they can just move a little bit certain parts of puppet. So I can make it easy to be operated, every puppet. So I'm thinking various formats. So it will be a flexible show. Another one which I'm also working on, nothing to do with Peru. As I say, I travel to other places also, and equally embrace other traditions. As a puppeteer, I'm a little bit also like a collector. So I have puppets from Vietnam. In Vietnam, they work the puppets in the water, which is different technique. It's very interesting also. And I learned from them, and we did exchange and so on. I have from recently I came back from Thailand and then I commissioned one Royal Thai puppet, which is a specific technique. And some I have from Russia, from various other places. So what I do is I have a play. It's about music and dance from all over the world. Will include possibly Morris dancing, which I'm thinking about English dance, and or Scottish. I don't know. We'll see. I'm in the process of kind of having more characters for this. In fact, I have a lot of puppets already, so I can. The show has been presented already, but I'm always upgrading in a way the play. So that's another possibility, but I don't know if that also will be interesting because about heritage, not my own heritage, but my heritage and others' heritage also, which I also equally embrace. And the way I see it is not that what I have is better or worse, it's different. So that's my philosophy. So we have what we have. However it is, has beauty and so on, has its own meaning, some background, and that's what's interesting. I could say from Man of the Andes, maybe I'll be a little bit more than that, maybe person that will embrace different cultures. I like that idea. It'll be a mosaic of the world, and presented through puppets. And I also did recently, not so recently, I mean 3-4 years ago maybe, 3 years maybe, Chinese opera, interlude. And all by accident also because I went just to get a costume for the embroidery and I just made a comment, say maybe it'll be nice to wear this in a play. And the person who was selling the costume is a Chinese opera practitioner, but she's almost retiring. And I guess she took that as an offer for me that I really want to do this. So I had a call. She said, "Oh, I created already the script, and we can actually work." And we did over a year, and we managed to do 6 minutes Chinese opera interlude. But because I traveled to many festivals, and I'm interested in presenting this possibly in theaters or whatever, because here you can present as a small segment, a small show. But some of the theaters, they will not accept that format, 6 minutes. It's too short. Unless it's like a peep show, you can attend many people during an hour. So I thought I will expand. So actually I already have the puppets that will be part of this play. So I'm including some puppetry and some object theater also. And I will expand the play so it can be maybe half an hour or 40 minutes. It's another project I'm working. And that's again a personal project also. There's two I have to put a little bit my attention for next year.
Right. Those all sound so interesting. And I'm just going to check the time here. So interesting to see the cross-cultural currents in your work, right? That your practice is very grounded in your own experience, but you've used all of these different art forms that you have an interest in to explore traditions from around the world, which also seems very as though it's very similar to Border Crossing's ethos, their approach to things as well. Have you found that your that their approach to theater making and performance making has influenced your own practice, and that you've taken things from it?
I think I could say that we coincide, in our vision. As you say, the ethos of Border Crossing is to embrace all different traditions and provide the different artists and practitioners platform for showing their work. and their culture. Um, in my case, that happened as I was kind of advancing in my learning, because wherever I go, I always exchange with people. I did many exchanges in other places, like I go and teach what I know, my puppets, and I try to learn theirs also. So that way, similarly with music, and that way I kind of get to know a little bit of that culture, the tradition. I understand a little bit more, and for some reason, especially with puppets, I think it's very interesting to be able to introduce these other traditions in my own practice. Um, as I said, I recently got something from Thailand, and I'm thinking, uh, I mean, it won't be just for display, but I have at some point I have to perform that puppet. So for me, it's again giving time, explore the puppet, because different technique and everything. So I need to find out more about the music, kind of, mm, in a way, internalize, that culture, and try to get something out of that to be able to present on stage. So even Thai people, when they see that, they will feel like, oh, this is our culture. But obviously, this person, even if it's not Thai, but it will be. And things like that happen with the Chinese. Um, for maybe third year already, they invite me always to the Chinese New Year as a puppeteer, because I have Chinese puppetry in my practice. And curiously, I mean, there are many people from China in the UK, but maybe nobody's. There are a lot of dragon dancers and dances from China, various things, but maybe not puppeteer. So, or maybe there is, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm, I'm surprised they invite me, because they want to have Chinese puppet form in their Chinese New Year celebration, and they kindly kind of include me. It's a big honor for me to be able to do that and feel a little bit part of that community also. And similar with other places also. Obviously, when there is here in the UK, like Latin American events, festivals, or Peruvian event, or sometimes they invite me. I have things from Peru, I have things from Bolivia, and so on. So I have a little bit of everything everywhere, and it's always interesting to be able, through what I can do, kind of uh, make them feel their identity, their connection with their own culture of origin. And even children, they learn about different dances or music through what I can do. That is quite a privileged position for me, to be able to be a medium, for the culture to be presented through what I can do, either music or puppetry for them. And in that way, border crossing, I think, is like we have like a lot in common, and that way we can kind of establish some sort of collaboration. If they have an idea, and then they can kind of consider also what I have. Sometimes I can create new stuff also for them if it's necessary. But depending what kind of projects they might have in the future, I don't know if I'll be included or not, because not always they focus in Latin America or Peru. They might focus on Asia or in Europe. I don't know. And then obviously in that way I can do less and less. Mm.
So, overall, then, what would you say is the most important impact that you've seen border crossings have through the work that you've done with them? and what has been the impact on you as a cultural practitioner of working with border crossings?
I think border crossing is possibly the best platform for what I can do. You know, is a lot of my, even though I live not here and I'm far away from Peru, somehow I'm connected through my practice. And obviously having a space, organization like Border Crossing that promotes the ethos is about tradition, heritage, native culture. I think it's amazing to have a space like that, a possibility that this somehow can be canalized through their activities, their projects, and I'm grateful for that possibility because there are many other festivals here, but it's not their focus. Therefore, obviously I cannot be part of that at all because here a lot of things, a lot of other festivals, they're looking for something different. In that way, I think border crossing engage with what I do, and I can also contribute to their vision and so on. So I can just say I'm grateful because it's an opportunity for me to keep doing what I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, whatever you do is because you have to present somewhere, you need an audience, and border crossing provides this for us. And obviously the impact to the wider community, if I get involved and somehow I bring something to the table, is a way to fulfill the needs of people who are also trying to know about their own culture of origin. A lot of us, we already live here, you know, we are quite integrated, but still doesn't mean we'll forget everything, or we'll stay with what we have only, but we have to live in both worlds somehow. I think when you are a person who lives outside your country, naturally happens this. There is some sort of need to reconnect to your roots. That could be through arts, to food, or to something that will remind you, your place of origin. And if I can contribute something so people who live here can witness maybe a puppet that reminds their place or their culture, so everyone benefits from this. Yes, I benefit myself, border crossing also, because it fits within the purpose they have as an organization, and to the audience, obviously they have something that they otherwise could not have without border crossing. And that's brilliant, that everything fits, we are connected, we are interdependent basically, of all of us. So I could say that's the connection is there.
Thank you. That's very beautifully said. Yeah. In closing, is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything that you wish that I had asked you about?
I could just say I think Lucy and Michael, they're quite determined. They have always ideas. I don't know how. I think they work very hard and they're quite busy. They're very creative also. It's quite formidable what they do, and I admire their work, and I'm grateful that I've been part of many projects with them already, and hopefully this partnership will keep, even if I'm not involved, if they promote culture from other places, it's something I like to go and see because I'm interested in this kind of projects they do. It doesn't have to be about myself or my culture only, but it's interesting for me, especially cosmopolitan place like London, to see maybe people coming from Canada or Mexico. I don't know. The world is big, and there are many beautiful traditions in Africa, Asia, all over Europe. Here at home also is quite interesting. So I'm just I just like to always keep, you know, keep up to date with what they are doing, to be able to support also in some way or another. Sometimes as an audience, sometimes as a participant. Yeah. So that's great that they keep going, and always they have a lot of ideas, and hopefully we'll be continuing on this kind of path together.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie.
It's a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you.